Go. Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Coles, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris. And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for May 18th, 2025. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Coles, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello, Chris. How you doing today?
Steve, man, it's good to see you. I am wore out.
Yeah. Yes, I know all about that dilemma. That's horrible.
Yeah, for some reason, people decided to mow the yard today on Sunday, which, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those, better than thou Christian type persons, but still, I don't like to work on Sunday because that's the way I was raised.
Right,
and,
right.
People that go out there and want to mow the yard on Sunday if they're Buddhists, which is fine, but but don't come crying to me when the lawnmower breaks down. That's the thing. And unfortunately, that's what happened today. So I ended up working on Sunday whether I wanted to or not. But that's okay. That's all right. Yeah. We're still... we did not get any damage from the tornado here locally, but now I think there were some people lost their lives over in extreme western Kentucky and over in eastern Kentucky around London and Paducah over in western Kentucky.
Well, our condolences to all those that have been affected by the storms in the Midwest.
Hopefully they can pick back up, and if you're still alive, that's a plus. Yep. And if you lost family members during this, our heart goes out to you. It's terrible. Yep. But what can you do?
Yes, I know. Hey, before we get started tonight, we got a lot on the board tonight. Just in pre-show, we do have a huge chat tonight, and it's going like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And we do have a poll up too tonight, asking if you think Steve Isdall is a reliable source of Bigfoot information. So if you haven't voted, please get on there and vote. So far, we have 29 votes in. And we will get into the results by the end of the show tonight. Of course, you may be able to change your vote by the end of the show tonight. What you hear may or may not change your mind.
Oh,
and yes, Danny, we are getting your messages. You're coming in as a YouTube user.
Danny, we still having YouTube issues there. That's okay, Danny. We appreciate you, bud.
So you want to hear something funny is my eBay account got suspended today.
Oh.
Because I'm a risk.
Okay.
But they couldn't tell me why I'm a risk. I don't sell anything. I've made 7 purchases since 2020 on eBay.
Yeah.
Paid them all.
Yeah.
Always got the A+ reviews. But they suspended me.
Maybe somebody hacked your account or something and trying to sell stuff, Maybe. I don't know. But that's weird. Unless it could be a spoof email too, Hey, that
Oh, no. I actually contacted eBay.
Oh.
And they said, well, you're a risk. I said, well, I may have gotten hacked. I don't know. And then he says, well, your appeal is denied. You were not hacked. We just consider your, that you have, you have behavior on eBay that's a risk. Behavior on eBay, I haven't been on it in a year and a half.
Steve, you're banned. You're a bad boy. You're banned from eBay.
Fuck.
And the last thing I bought, the last two things I bought was a pack of Sasquatch stickers, which I resold at some of the shows.
Yeah.
And I bought that magazine, that old magazine from 1969 that had the Patterson article. Yeah. Those are the last two things I bought off of eBay.
Well, this is weird.
Yeah. I don't even sell anything, so...
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, so I went to try to buy more stickers today. It says, nope, your account's been banned.
Well, that's nice. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Well, you know what? Great, as my father would say, pardon the French, great fucking business model.
Yeah.
Let's ban the good paying people.
You're going to save money.
Yeah.
No more purchases on the Bay place.
So I started a new hashtag on Twitter, and I posted it right on eBay's site there. You know, hashtag eBay sucks.
Yeah. Well, I haven't bought anything from there for a long time because normally, like everybody else, I've become, it's the Amazon has been the go-to place to grab something and get it shipped to me quick, free, because we do subscribe to the Amazon Prime so we can get their TV service.
Yeah.
Great. I cut the cable years ago, and I highly recommend everybody do it. But yeah, I just can't remember the last time I bought anything on eBay. They're kind of going extinct. Not really that many people working with them.
Well, they're not helping themselves, that's for sure.
But if you need something like a weird part for an old antique, whatever, you can get on there and find it. Normally somebody will have some somewhere. Yeah, you may have to pay for it, but having it as to not having it, may mean the difference.
Well, I had a similar experience with Etsy when I was trying to get my shirts sold there.
Yeah.
And after 3 or 4 days, Etsy suspended me. I'm like, for what? Well, we can't tell you. What do you mean you can't tell me? What did I do? I didn't do nothing.
Oh, they're suspending because you're Steve Coles. That's what it is.
That's it.
You've been blacklisted, buddy.
It's a government conspiracy.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, they think you're a man in black. So,
Well, anyway, let's get to the roll call, and
Yes.
then we will get on to what I did yesterday, and then we will get on to the topic.
Goodness, the chat is hopping. Look at this.
It is booming tonight.
I'm seeing almost 40, high 40s, some people in there already. And man, my finger will not scroll down. And
Yep.
I'm trying to get to the top. There we go. Wow.
So anyway, and yes, we will get into all the great information we're going to present tonight.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
First in tonight was Grant Russia. Hello, Grant. Good to see you. Roy Longley, representing the Lurkers. How are you? And he even said, well, this will be an interesting session. Rolla Commenton said, looking forward to this one. We'll catch us tomorrow.
Catch you on the replay, bud.
Yep. Sharon, what's going on, Sharon? Hello, Sharon's in Belgium. The great and one and only Mick. And actually, it was Mick who kind of dropped the idea on me today. So he said, did you see this video? I'm like, let me look. Jay Charlotte, what's going on? Good to see you, Jay. Karen Fisher, hello. Traveling with Jim. I actually had dinner with Jim last night.
All right.
Jeff Tripoletti, what's going on, Jeff?
Jeff.
And hey, Jim, I bet you that macaroni salad's all gone by now. I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, we went to a restaurant last night. The macaroni salad was like the best I've ever tasted. I'm like, what? You just expect a side with your burger, right? And they had this little thing of mac salad. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, usually I don't even eat that stuff. It's like
it tripped me up. It was so damn good.
Yeah, normally they put that on your plate for like decoration,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Jim tried it, and Jim says, I'll take an order of that to go.
Yeah.
That's how good it was. Walter Kroll.
Walter.
In the house. Henry B. May.
Oh, Henry
Cryptid
May.
Corner. Yeah. Here we are. Henry.
Henry has got a new video up. I just watched it a while ago. And, I watch all of Henry's videos. I don't comment on all of them because some of them I watch Henry while I'm on TV upstairs. So, but if you haven't checked out Henry May's channel, it's HBM's Cryptid Corner. Go check him out. If he's got that Bossberg Cripplefoot track he's showing on this latest video. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So I think we said Walter Kroll, but if we didn't, Walter Kroll is in the house as well. Danny Weeks is in the house. Good to see Danny. Ristol, what's up? Ristol's in the house. Okay, scrolling. Boris Kahn.
Boris.
Who asks, who's Steve Isdall?
Mike Stetton.
Mike Stetton in the house. Gary Johnson Sr. Hello, Gary.
Gary. I'm getting lost now.
John Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks also here with us tonight. Good to see you, sir. Check out his channel as well. Great channel.
Yes,
Mike Statton, of course. Ron Meldrum. What's up, Ron? Good to see you. Sandra Piper. Hello, Sandra. Okay.
Okay.
Robert Denduven. What's up, Robert? Hello.
Robert. I got to try to find Robert's name. Try to get caught up. I can't.
Of course, we said traveling with Jim.
I'm lost.
I know. There we are. Brian and Chewy Go Hiking also in the house.
Another good channel.
The Beatron is also here.
Beatron.
Angel Nolan. Hello. Arthur Watch.
Angel.
Hello. How are you?
Arthur.
Randy Simpson. Hello, Randy. Good to see you back again, sir.
Randy,
Bigfoot,
welcome.
Quebec. My neighbors to the north.
Bigfoot, Quebec. Welcome.
I am only 2.5 hours from the Quebec border.
Good. I'm caught up now. I found it. Good.
Steve Miller. Hello, Steve.
Steve. Love your band. The Steve Miller Band. Awesome stuff, man. No, thanks, Steve. Good to see you.
All right. We're almost Montreal. Yes, I'm 2.5 hours from Montreal, actually. Bigfoot, Quebec. Midnight Madness. Hello, Midnight Madness.
Midnight Madness. Welcome.
Hello, new name. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. Kick your feet up. If you're the last one out, turn the lights off. And we said Arthur. John Swan in the house. John, what's going on? Buttworm. We haven't seen Buttworm in a while. I was just thinking that the other day.
Welcome back, man. Good to see you.
Buttworm. Love the name. The Susie Monster. Susie Monster's back in there. Scott B. Hello, Scott. Welcome back. Timberline Camp. What's going on? The Sandwich Savant. What's happening?
Welcome.
He's like, can't wait to crack some jokes here. Yes, I think we got everybody.
I think so. I'm not certain. I'm down at the bottom now, so
you didn't say Robert Denduven, but Michelle Wilfong in the house. Michelle, good to see you again. Jen, our bouncer, is here. Hello, hey, Jen. And it brings us to the bottom of the list.
Good deal. Well, hello, everybody. And if we missed anybody, it's not because we don't love you. It's just that there's a lot of names over there.
Yes, and we're old. You never know what's going on.
I don't wear my glasses during the show, so probably
should. Before we get into it, yesterday I had the wonderful opportunity, thanks to the Unknown Paranormal Society, my good pal Mike Buckley out there, who I've actually worked with in the past on when I was doing paranormal stuff. They had this wonderful event at the Kinderhook Memorial Library in the lovely and old Kinderhook, New York. Of course, Kinderhook also has vetted that wonderful tale, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. It's also quintessential in that myth as well.
Cool.
It is the home of the Kinderhook creature, which was a big flap of Bigfoot sightings in the 1980s. Bruce Hallenbeck took point on that. Bruce Hallenbeck, I consider one of my mentors because he was one of the co-authors of Monsters of the Northwood, so it was always good catching up with him. Right. And what I really appreciated by him, the last time I'd seen him, I gave him a copy of The Psychology of Bigfoot. Because at that time it was the last book I had written. And I had asked him, did he like it? He says, I think it should be a reference book.
Yeah.
He goes, so that was really a high compliment, especially coming from one of my mentors.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But here's a quick video I did on the day, and enjoy. We will be back here in about a minute. This is only about a minute long video, but enjoy.
Every footprint tells a story to me, through the mud and through the leaves. When you thought you got away clean, I was right there analyzing the scene. Can't hide from me, you know it's true. Can't hide from me, I'm coming through, coming through.
And there we go. Just a quick little video.
I gotta say, when I first saw this, I was shocked. I thought this was just supposed to be like a little get together in a library. And
okay, hold on, stop. Sandwich Savant, please. You know what? If you don't like the friggin' music, don't listen to it. I don't appreciate comments about the music we choose. I'm sorry. Can't. I like it. Chris liked it.
Yep.
We can't please everybody, so please keep those comments to yourself. Nothing irritates me more. I put a lot of flipping time into these videos. Anyway, go ahead, Chris.
Well, anyway, yeah, I thought, well, I thought it was just going to be a small group of people there, but according to the crowd you had inside there's quite a few people showed up in a lot of the cars and a lot of people outside. So this is getting to be this little get together is growing.
Yeah, well, it had a great crowd yesterday, and what they do is they have a farmer's market up the road.
Right.
So they plan it the same day as the farmer's market.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sandwich Savant. It's one of my pet peeves. Somebody's always bitching about the music, no matter what I pick. Let's face it. You cannot put real music on YouTube because they will take away any type of monetization. So that's what we're stuck with. Sorry.
If I'm picking it, you're going to be listening to bluegrass.
Right. So
count yourself lucky.
No, it's all good, Sandwich Savant. I just gotta
have a banjo in there, man.
Because there's some music that is made that you can't tell. It's you know,
pizza, the Bee Gees, yes.
Yes, and actually, I'm actually using a different music provider, and it's much more better than what we had. So, all right, let's get into tonight's topic. So tonight we're diving into a topic that's been stirring up a bit of conversation in both the outdoor community and the world of Sasquatch research. Love him or hate him, he's become a polarizing figure whose presence can't be ignored. You've probably heard his name thrown around if you follow hunting, outdoor survival, or Bigfoot narratives. Steve Isdall, the outspoken, rugged outdoorsman, passionate storyteller, and some would say controversial figure. He's got a voice that cuts through the noise, a loyal following, and a reputation for telling it like it is if he thinks it is, no matter who might take offense. But who really is Steve Isdall? Is he a fearless truth-seeking, breaking the mold? Or is there something more behind his persona? Is he genuinely standing up for the truth? Or is he feeding into the echo chamber of confirmation bias and sensationalism? One of the things that makes Steve so intriguing and contentious is his boldness when it comes to sharing stories and making claims that many in the scientific community shy away from alleging that Bigfoot possesses supernatural abilities to claiming insider knowledge about government cover-ups. His stories are provocative as they are divisive. Whether it's recounting encounters sent in by followers or pushing back against mainstream narratives, Isdall doesn't hold back, and that has certainly earned him both admirers and critics. Today we're peeling back the layers, examining his journey, his rise to online fame, and the reason he's become such a divisive figure in both the Sasquatch and wildlife conservation communities. We will look at what makes him tick, why some people swear by his words, why others can't stand his approach, and what that says about the man himself. So buckle up, whether you're a fan or a skeptic. This episode is going to dig deep into the persona, the passion, the controversy, and the bold claims that surround Steve Isdall. So let's get into it. But first, let me predicate this by saying that we have made 2 requests for Mr. Isdall to come on the show in the last year and a half, and both times those requests have been ignored. So he had his chance to have a say, because I don't want to ever not give somebody their say. So without their say, I'm going to tell it like I see it, because I am just as bold, dare say maybe even divisive, as Steve Isdall is, because I stand on the other side of the argument he puts out there. But we shall see. Here we go. Chris, any comments before you start?
Well, I used to watch some of Steve's videos on the How to Hunt channel. And we're talking, a few years ago. All right. This was before he started doing the videos that I got an email from the guy. Okay. And started telling us about this email, which it made me kind of question, well, is this on the up and up? Is this legit, or is he making this up? After that, I just kind of shied away from the channel. But
I'm not going to answer that question whether they're legitimate or not. He definitely has enough followers that he could be getting stories.
Yes, absolutely. But it always leads to the question, is this on the up and up? For me,
I can't answer that question. I don't think anybody can. Could they be made up? Certainly, you can make up anything. We think that sometimes on the Sasquatch Chronicles, but truthfully, sometimes you look at the stories and they remain consistent. Right. Unfortunately, some of the stuff, and I started looking at some of his last videos on this guy, I believe Earl, and there were a lot of conflictions in the story.
Yeah.
So we'll put that aside. We're going to be talking more about the overall picture here. I'm not going to nitpick.
Right.
If he was here, we might get into it about certain things. But, the Earl narrative did not pass any of the lie detector tests that we've had because of the confliction in the descriptions of the creature and stuff like that.
Right.
What we noticed is Steve's total lack of any type of critical thinking when it comes to these stories. He reads them as is. Okay. Some people do that. Some people don't question. And there are people there are people that have channels that they don't question at all the validity of what's being said.
Right.
You have to take that into consideration. We here do. That kind of gives us our own niche. That we're the ones who fetter the wheat from the chaff, right? Or try to, because you can't always be 100% in this. We make mistakes, right? And we're not above making mistakes, unlike a lot of other people that have these channels that do that.
But we also realize that not every email story is actually real. It's just a lot of them could be a story.
Hey, OT is in the house.
OT, welcome.
Welcome back, brother. Well, congratulations on the new puppers. Nothing like a new puppy. Yeah. And Patty Lindsley also snuck in while we're talking.
Patty?
Oh, okay, so let's break this. Let's break this down. Let's first look at the timeline of Steve Isdall's transition from wildlife controversy to the Sasquatch stalling, John, because there is something that screams out here to me anyway as an investigator. Between 2018, Steve got embroiled in this wolf campaign. He intensified wolf trapping advocacy, which triggered a significant public backlash. In 2018, media coverage began of Isdahl's one-man bounty plan, which led to widespread criticism. And it left a lot of people questioning his abilities and left a lot of people questioning his, morality when it comes to hunting. So then he responded to critics with online posts, aggressively with threats, portraying himself as a victim of unfair criticism. Okay? And when all that started to simmer down, what does he do? He pivots to Sasquatch. He leaves that hunting stuff behind and pivots, comes into a new field, which he can be a new firebrand for. And he incorporated into his existing platform how to hunt. In 2019, he actually had a YouTube description update, which, citing popular demand, he's talking about. Now, that's funny because I never heard of him before that, so I don't know whether it be popular demand, but far be it from me. I mean, we understand you're trying to sell a network. Got it. Hey, by popular demand, we are covering Sasquatch. Okay, that's fair. Not a big thing. So, and then in mid-2020, he had a book publication, released a Sasquatch-themed book, solidifying his new role in the cryptid community. So, let's look at these. Let's look at the pivot to Sasquatch. So it appears after weathering the wolf cull controversy, Isdall began increasing his focus on Sasquatch. While he may have held long personal beliefs or experiences regarding Sasquatch, it was around the period that he openly integrated the topic into his public platform. In 2019, his YouTube channel description was updated to announce that due to popular demand, the Sasquatch beings will also be discussed on this channel. This indicates by 2019 that he had recognized substantial audience interest in Bigfoot content, possibly interest he himself stoked by dropping mentions of unexplained encounters or by responding to followers' questions. His book was published in mid-2020, which means it was likely being written or compiled in 2019 to 2020, signaling a full commitment to being a Sasquatch spokesman by then. The timing suggests that Isdall's transition into Sasquatch storytelling closely followed the Wolf campaign episode.
Yeah.
The question arises, did the Wolf controversy cause or encourage Isdall's Sasquatch turn, or are they unrelated trajectories? One interpretation is that negative attention and resistance or angry towards certain institutions, government, wildlife agencies, environmentalists, traditional media, this mindset could make the Sasquatch arena where skepticism of authorities is common and more appealing. In other words, his frustration with the mainstream, which vilified him for the wolf issue, could have nudged him further into an outsider role in a different field, where being anti-mainstream is actually a badge of honor. We wear it too sometimes. Let's face that. Sasquatch research has long existed on the fringe. Someone with Isdall's temperament might find it a fitting new battlefront after feeling burned by the previous one. It's also worth considering that the Wolves campaign fallout may have partially isolated Isdall from some of his prior or professional networks. If more mainstream hunting organizations or guiding businesses distanced themselves from him due to the bad press, Isdall might have found himself with more time and freedom to pursue personal projects like Sasquatch research. The Sasquatch Project may have filled a void, providing a new purpose and new allies in the Bigfoot community at a time when he was at odds with parts of hunting and the conservation community. Whether or not the wolf controversy directly caused the Sasquatch fenner, we can observe a continuous pattern in Isdall's trajectory. He gravitates towards contentious, high-emotion domains where he can adopt a maverick stance. In both 2018 and 2020, he has emerged as a central figure in a dispute against conventional viewpoints. This suggests a personality that is energized by conflict and by defying the mainstream. The timing alignment implies that once the conflict has reached a stalemate or became counterproductive to continue, he was ready to channel his energies to the next. The Sasquatch storytelling has, in a sense, given him a new battlefield where he can fight a narrative war, now casting himself as battling the Bigfoot cover-up and societal ridicule rather than battling pro-wildlife activists and government biologists. The common denominator is Steve Isdall positioning himself as the outspoken rebel fighting for truth he believes others are ignoring. What say you, Chris?
Well, there are some comments here I'd like to get to.
Sure.
Now, Bruce Strachan. I'm sorry, Bruce. Hopefully, the Strachan.
Yeah, Bruce Strachan.
I'm gonna say that's right. I'm not sure if I've got that wrong. I apologize. But he says Isdall reads encounter stories verbatim, which means he is a storyteller, not a researcher.
I tend to agree.
That's kind of the impression I was getting from it.
We never see him. We never see him on any type of Bigfoot expedition.
Yeah,
but he claims expertise.
And I liked his MO he has on his videos. He'll show a nice scenic backdrop, and if there's snow on the ground, he'll be standing there and crunching in the snow while he's talking and stuff. And I kind of like that. And don't get me wrong, he's going to bring up a Bigfoot picture that somebody sent him and put it out there and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Okay, that's one thing, but the stories verbatim is a little, that's kind of like a storyteller. Yeah.
Pyromedic's got a great comment too.
Oh, let me find it.
You want me to put it up?
Okay, got it. I was watching Isdall when he first mentioned Bigfoot. The video received crazy views. What do? Drop it? No.
But then again, you approach it with, I don't know. His way of doing things is completely different from mine. Of course, I'm a researcher. I'm an investigator. He was not. He was a casual observer. And that's what I consider it. If you're hunting elk and whatever else he hunts, wolves and trapping and all that stuff, you're just a casual observer in this field. You're not actually an expert or even knowledgeable. Let's expert again as a frame of reference.
But the wolf controversy too. Okay, yeah. I could get on board with Isdall on that one if he wanted to get rid of some wolves. But, when you start getting rid of things, animals in particular, you're going to have a lot of crazy people that go after you.
When you start acting antagonistical, especially to women, which has happened in there, and he was accused of being a misogynist of some of the things he had said about the women that were running the conservation effort.
Yeah.
He's a firebrand. Okay, I get that. Does that make him necessarily a bad person? No. I understand he's passionate about things. So am I.
But he's on one side of a very tough issue there. All right.
Absolutely. But what did he do?
Now, Sheepdog says Steve does in fact say a lot that the emails was out there, and to take from it what you will and leave what you don't think is real stuff. Well, that's fair enough.
And that is a fair assessment. If he says that, wonderful.
Yeah, I've not heard that. But I'm not saying that he didn't. Okay.
Right. But even if he did say that, he does certainly make a lot of conclusions based off of some of these emails he gets.
Yeah. And OT said, I used to watch Steve for the hunting, and then it moved to Bigfoot. I was interested, but after a bit, I walked. Yeah, that's understandable. I was about the same way, OT. I really wasn't watching for the hunting. I was watching for the Bigfoot, and then when we got onto the emails and stuff, I was kind of like, maybe this is not for me. I don't know if I should put mix up or not.
Go for it. I mean, it's not our comment.
Okay, well, Mick says, I'm saying at 27 minutes and 2 beers into the show, Steve Isdall's a egotistical SOB, and I wouldn't believe him if he told me the time of day.
And that is why he is so divisive. And that's, nobody's denying that he's divisive. I don't think he would even deny it, to tell you the truth. But there are certain psychological traits that we've noticed with Steve Isdall. And key points, aggression. He displays a high aggression levels and low agreeableness, often reacting defensively towards criticism. Now, mind you, we have researched his entire channel and some of the things he's said over the last few years and some of his stories that he's recounted over the last few years. So this is a very well compiled analysis. Ideology holds strong personal beliefs with a black and white moral framework, which shapes his confrontational stance. There are no gray areas. Now, we've always said in our research, there are a lot of gray areas, but not to him, right? Authority. He shows distrust of authority in his anti-establishment attitude, often in positioning himself as an outsider. Now, listen, I'm not saying that I agree with all the rules. That's why I talked about eBay tonight. There's an establishment, and I'm very much ticked off at them. So I get that. You can get angry at the establishment, but you can't make, there's a fine line that you put on the tinfoil hat when you go too far over that line. Yeah. I'm sorry. And I think that in a lot of the issues, he wears the tinfoil hat. And that's my own personal opinion. I'm not saying that makes him a bad person. I'm not saying I hate him for that. I don't know. The guy may be great to have a beer with. I'm sure he would be. A good Canadian lager and whatever. I would have no issues with that. And so what if he believes certain things? He believes they're supernatural. Well, I chuckle it off, okay, you know what? I disagree, and these are the reasons why I disagree, but he doesn't want to hear that. So when you don't want to hear the rebuttal or have open discourse or a conversation on the topic, right, there's something really huge about that. Grandiosity exhibits a desire to lead and a sense of superiority in his narratives and assertions.
Whoa! Jay Fritz.
Thank you, Jay.
Jay Fritz gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Grant says, remember to use Reynolds aluminum foil for your tin hats. Don't be cheap keeping them out of your tent. Yeah, they are the cheap tin foil. They break, the rain gets through them. It's horrible.
Then pretty thin, yeah.
Yeah, because every once in a while we'll wear a tinfoil hat.
Oh, yeah. We keep one handy.
That's right. But then again, he has a sense of superiority in his narratives and assertions. And as he did when he was covering that wolf controversy, and amongst other things, I have read letters to editors of newspapers by him on other topics, and he always takes that grandiosity or superiority in his assertions. It's the type of personality he is.
I'm not going to read that one, Steve, but you see what one to put up there.
Group dynamics. He emphasizes tribalism, portraying a strong us versus them type of mentality. And we'll get into this is very, very complicated stuff. We'll get into how that plays out. Empathy, but he shows selective empathy, often focusing on followers who align with his beliefs. He has no empathy whatsoever for anybody that doesn't believe in what he believes. And communication, uses storytelling to build communication, blending personal anecdotes with sensational claims. And that's just facts. I'm not saying anything negative here. I am just saying the facts. These are all facts as we look at all his stories. So I don't want this to be considered an attack. This is just broken down very, as an investigator, we're just breaking it down as a typical professional investigator would. We're looking at every single angle and criteria and discussing them.
Okay. Some of the stuff you could kind of see goes along with the hunting part of the
Class A man, macho man type of guy,
The distrust of authority, because hey, we're talking this guy's in Canada, and it's not like they have.
Wait! What's going on? Have you ever talked to Steve Coles? I am curious. Is this personal? Is somebody saying something out there that I'm not seeing?
I don't know. I'm not seeing anything.
Or maybe he's asking me if I ever talked to Steve Isdall.
Maybe.
I don't know, Brian. Could you please?
No, Brian. There's nothing personal about
No.
it. No,
not at all. In fact, you heard me at the beginning of the show that I had over the last year and a half given a couple of invitations for Steve Isdall to come on the show and have a conversation rather than, doing an analysis of him and trying to break him down. I'd rather have a conversation with him and we can talk it out. So.
Yes, Mick. Mick says he also denigrates anyone who simply asks a question about anything that doesn't jive. If you don't go along with the narrative, you'll find yourself
right
on the other
side.
side.
That tends to be a common narrative amongst people who make these grandiose claims. M.K. Davis won't do shows on opposing viewpoints. Neither will what's that guy that's doing all the work, the artwork, using the AI work and saying he's putting it out there, saying, "Well, it's not AI, it's computer generated, but it's not AI." Well, that's AI. I forget his name. Gatewood. There's another guy that won't come on a show. And he is very aggressive and very defensive. And, MK, there's two types of personalities. People that will aggressively defend their stands to the point where they over-defend it and they're super extreme. And then there's people that are like, mice that once you start hitting them, they disappear. Like the guy we talked about Friday night. He just disappears or he ignores it completely. He won't even, and we'll see that, as an interrogative interviewer.
Pyromedic says he states he is an outdoorsman and has no use for keyboard warriors. That upsets some.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I'm not a keyboard warrior.
If somebody has something, they question something that he's put out, it shouldn't be, well, you're the enemy. It should be, well, let's approach that question. Let's discuss that. Let's have a discussion.
Well, you have yourself a good night there, sheepdog. You see, again, this is exactly what we're getting to about. Here is this guy saying, "See you apers later." Apers. Well, we'll see you fucking woo folks later. How about that? Right? Woo! Right? You're not on board with any of this BS? BS. This is fact. This is psychological. This is all fact here, brother. What? The fact that Bigfoot talks to you? That's fact. Prove it. See you later, dude. You know what? And this is the exact echo chamber that Sheepdog wants. He wants an echo chamber. And that's funny. So you know what? The other thing too is,
I don't think there's anything wrong with.
No, he's gone. He's gone. I just banned him because he said this is bullshit. Well, you know what? You're bullshit. If you can't have a conversation and you want to call it bullshit, goodbye. This is about having a conversation, not calling names and slathering profanity. Sorry. See you later.
I'm
No, Pyromedic. I'm not saying you're. I'm just saying it. I'm just making sure that.
No. Yeah. No, I'm a firm believer that these are biological creatures, but I am firmly willing to listen to an argument otherwise.
Right.
Unfortunately, since you banned him,
he said he's leaving. He's leaving.
Okay.
He didn't even pose a question or even argue the fact. Right?
Yeah.
He runs away. He runs away with a glancing comment. So see you later.
It's an ape for people too. Yeah. Well, the thing is, that's why it's
what?
not
See,
a black and white.
Listen, if you're for Isdall and anything you take task with what I say, which I have not said anything. I have not said anything negative. I'm just talking about this, right? About the way he acts. Right?
Grant says name calling is when you lose the debate. That's true, Grant. Because, like I am.
He just sat there. Oh, this is bullshit. I'm leaving. I'm enough. I'm leaving.
Perfectly willing to listen.
Okay.
To,
you know what? Go back, sheepdog. Go back to your echo chamber. where you're in your safe space and you can hear all this other unproven bullshit about Bigfoot. That's all I'm saying, because that's the way I feel. It's when you know, and it doesn't matter what side of the argument you're on. If you say that, you just want to go back to your own echo chamber. I will engage people, right? I'm not afraid of engaging people because I have the science behind me, right? You see, that is exactly the attitude that Steve Isdall takes. In fact, that could have been Steve Isdall using a nom de guerre, right?
Well, I'm
Certainly sounds like
perfectly willing to listen
Right.
to their
Right,
explanation.
and you know what?
And
Ask anybody at conferences.
Yeah.
Ask anybody at conferences. I listen to all the types of people.
Right.
And I explain my positioning on it and why. But I never discredit what they've had occurred, right? I never say, well, you didn't have that happen. That's baloney. No, I never say that to the person. They're man enough to come up there and tell me. I said, well, this is what it could be scientifically. A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to unvalidate their encounter. So when I have somebody like this, just because they're living in their own echo chamber, right?
Oh man.
So here, we'll get in core motivation and public perception. Let's get into the next slide. Need for validation. He seeks approval and acceptance from his audience, particularly those who support his narratives. Reacts defensively to perceived threats or criticism, reinforcing his identity as a truth teller. Frames issues in stark contrast, portraying himself as a champion against mainstream narratives. Uses assertive language and a confident demeanor to dominate conversations and discourage dissent. Where is any of this not true? Right? If this person was on our side of the argument, we would be holding this guy up. So this is nothing negative. This is just the truth. We're trying to understand the man.
Well, you got to understand though, if you speak the truth, those that have an issue with it are offended.
Yes.
It's like because their whole castle that they have built up of this magic and woo is kind of crumbles.
Right.
Again,
And you know what?
not meaning to offend
The guy who went out of here has a very appropriate name. He's a sheep. He's a follower. He's a sheep. He's got no brain. He's brainwashed. Right? He's sheep. And he's a sheeple.
Well, Brian McMahon says you can still argue with people without blocking, and that's true.
That's very true. But
He was leaving anyway.
He was leaving, and he made a comment, derogatory against us. He wasn't having an argument, right? And when you make a comment like that, goodbye. You're not needed here, right?
Yeah,
We've had people in the show that tried to gaslight the show by saying, "Oh, this is bullshit." Goodbye. See you later. We don't need that because that's not having an argument or even a discussion, right?
A little rude, yeah.
Very rude, and rudeness will not be tolerated. Did he say, "Hey, listen, I disagree with you, and this is the reason why"? Now,
that would have been better. This is why Bigfoot disappeared into portals, and explain it to us. I would love to hear that.
Right. Yes, explain it to me, or better yet, what have I said that's not true? Right?
Yeah.
Instead, tell me what I have said here that's not true. Ask me. Well, I don't believe that. Oh, thank you, Mick.
Oh, Mick! Wow, Mick! $20, Mick.
Thank you, sir.
So much. Appreciate it.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Squatch Detective TV is the Thomas Dolby of Sasquatch research.
She blinded me with science.
Thank you, Mick. Appreciate you.
So that's the reason why I gave him the boot, because what's going to happen is he's going to come back and try to lay a comment down, very derogatory comment down, after the show's over with.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? He's leaving without even asking a question or opposing. I have no problem. Somebody here, whatever, wants to pose an opposing viewpoint here in a normal tone of voice without getting angry, we'll gladly put it up there and discuss it. In fact, I would have done that if he says, well, I don't feel this is right, you're doing this. Well, tell me why. I'd be perfectly with that. Perfectly good with that. But, I'm sitting here, I'm leaving. Okay, act like a 2-year-old, take your toys and leave. Okay, goodbye.
I think it's kind of funny that he would call everybody apers. Well, that's.
I don't call people apers.
That's a derogatory thing for some reason. But to me, it's not, because yes, I believe that these creatures are biological. I've seen no evidence to suggest anything other than a biological entity.
Correct.
Now, if I was to see a Bigfoot ghost tomorrow or something, then maybe I would change my mind.
I don't disagree with you.
But being called an aper, in my opinion, is not really that negative. It's pretty factual. Yeah, I think they're biological beings.
And can I ask a question? Did we say anything about any of that political viewpoint there?
No.
We never said that his viewpoints were wrong. We've only discussed on how he argues his viewpoints. I may disagree with some of them. I may not disagree with all of them. Right?
Defensive posture, reacting defensively to perceived threats.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry Sharp gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Larry. Wow.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate it.
And hey, put up SWA's comment there. That is a beautiful rationalization there.
Sasquatch Wizard and Erotics. It is totally fine to watch Isdahl's channel.
Absolutely.
It's on your own watch to remain objective. That's true. The downfall would be if Isdahl kicks you out because you challenged his content.
Well, listen, here's the thing. Unless somebody is an out-and-out hoaxer or putting out a hoaxed video that is known and is proven, right, I don't comment on these channels. I may watch them. I don't comment on them. It's their channel. And we have a right, and that's a beautiful comment. It's on our own to remain objective.
Okay. I'm not reading that one from Butler, but you got it.
That's true. That is true, Butler. And Blake, we don't do politics here, but hey, that is kind of funny. Mike Stetton said on the way out, don't let the portal hit you in the ass. So, okay, let's move on here. Yeah. So, he has a polarized worldview. That's obviously. He frames his issues in stark contrast to portraying himself as a champion against mainstream narratives. Nothing incorrect there. Maintaining control, uses assertive language and a confident demeanor to dominate conversations and discourage dissent. There you go. And Gary Johnson, to those that had a real encounter, knows where Steve is coming from, period. Thank you, Gary. Now, Gary and I may not agree on everything, but I will listen to Gary's stories, and I won't judge him. Right. I don't judge people on their stories. I may have some fun, not necessarily with Gary, but other people that have some really, they show this stuff out. It's kind of funny, but, and I see the humor in it, but it's not meant to say that, oh, you're crazy or anything like that. It's more to have a little more fun with it, and I've kind of tampered down my type of humor on that, to a more, how should I say, generic type of fun. But never any of that is meant as to discourage people, to report what they've seen, to or anything, or to even talk to me about it. I'm one of the most approachable people. If you've been to a conference with me, I'm sure Jen and John and Bill, if he was here, if I'm in the trackway, they would all say, I'm very approachable. Hey, what's going on? What do you have? Okay.
Oh, yeah. You go up to a conference and Steve's there, or you go.
Chris has been there at conferences.
Yeah, he's going to be like a kid walks up. Now, this is you can check this out. It's on the Hocking Hills feed. a kid walks up and is looking at a cast inside a case that Steve's got. And Steve says, hey, you want to hold it? Here, let's make a picture with it. Here, hey, take this cast, hold on to it. And, the kid gets to hold the cast and get his picture with it. And he's tickled to death. That's Steve Coles right there.
Because it's not about just looking at something. I want them to touch it, feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I want them to get a picture so they can remember it and give them an experience. And perhaps someday, and there's John saying, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about that process. It's all about, and I don't care if that researcher 10 years down the line, 15 years when they grow up, think it's woo or a portal, whatever. Who cares? They're involved. Yeah. Right? I will go out with anybody, whether they believe in the paranormal or not, or the woo or not. It don't matter.
Well, that's the thing with people.
It is so frustrating to me that, I'm just citing fact on this. I'm not stating any, and the possibilities, like, did he, the question is, did he turn to Bigfoot research because he was getting lambasted on the other side? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not saying with any certainty here, and I'm certainly not calling him names or bastardizing him or doing anything like that. We're just giving it a raw and honest analysis of what he does. Now, do I agree with what he says? No. And I feel that I have the scientific arguments against that. But when you have people that we have seen consistently, like the Standlings and the Dyerites that used to follow Dyer, and the Biscardi knuckleheads, and we see the same behavior where you all want to stay in your own echo chamber. You don't want to hear any dissenting views. You can't take it, and you cannot even have an argument or a discussion about it. There
we go. Go ahead, put this up from Gary. Gary says, but Steve Isdall is bringing knowledge in people encounters. That's why I believe Steve Isdall is the greatest, knowing I'm not alone in this. Well, he does read the emails, and a lot of them he reads them verbatim, which is...
he admits that he reads them verbatim.
That's fine. I didn't see this, okay? This may be after I quit watching, but, I'm perfectly willing to accept that. That's just one of the reasons I didn't really want to watch something. This is an email I got from some guy. That's the only thing.
That is true.
Now, regarding the woo side of it, that's perfectly, I can understand how somebody could have a legitimate encounter with Bigfoot and maybe walk away thinking that it was magical.
Hold on. Rissel asked, did I lead? No, I got 2 left feet. The biker led.
If you go back and thumb through the psychology of Bigfoot, you'll understand why you might get the impression that you've had an experience that was a little bit on the woo side, or something happened like 2 seconds later and it disappeared. It was gone. Okay, well, that maybe possibly be your brain trying to cope with what you didn't know existed previously to that incident.
Okay, Chris, it is the top of the hour. It's time for our break. And when we come back, we're going to reset and we're going to finish out this material because we are, I think we're about the halfway point in the material. Oh, no, we were actually a little bit behind, I think, just by one slide. But still, this is a great dichotomy of looking at that. And I know there are Isdall supporters out there still watching this feed, and that's fine. Glad to have you on here and watching this. It should be nice for you guys to hear the opposite side. That's all we're saying. Don't put yourself in that echo chamber. Learn. You want to learn. Okay, we're going to take our break real quick here, and we will be back in 4 minutes. So everybody get your popcorn refilled, get your drink refilled, hit the restroom, and I got to find it. Yeah, there it is. And enjoy.
Bluegrass?
Sorry, I don't smoke that stuff. All right, we'll see you on the other side here.
on a mission, following the evidence, yeah. No more tall tales, no more make-believe. Scientific method, that's what makes us believe. Truth hunters in the night, truth hunters. Truth hunters in the night, yeah. Won't stop until we find. Truth hunters in the night, truth hunters. Truth hunters till we die. Equipment calibrated, every footprint analyzed. No room for speculation, just the data, just the signs. No more fairy tales, no more wasted time. Real investigation, that's our paradigm. Truth hunters in the night. Truth hunters in the night. Won't stop until we find. Truth hunters in the night. Truth hunters till we die. We're not here for fiction, not here for fantasy. Just pure dedication to what our eyes can see. Truth hunters in the night. Truth hunters in the night. Won't stop until we find. Truth hunters in the night. Truth hunters till we die. Truth hunters in the night. Truth hunters.
Is Bigfoot real? Or just one of the greatest mysteries of our time? Step into the world of Steve Culls, the Squatch detective. With over 400 pages of science-backed theory, Bigfoot, a scientific examination, is the definitive exploration of the Sasquatch phenomenon. Dig deeper with the Squatch Detective's Guide to Bigfoot Investigations, a must-read for serious researchers. Gain critical insight with the psychology of Bigfoot, the guide to understanding Bigfoot witnesses and their claims. And then what would Sasquatch do? Volume 2, uncover what Bigfoot may have in common with its ancient primate ancestors. Explore the evidence. Challenge the claims. All books available now on Amazon.
Hey, we're back here with our show. Good to see everybody back.
And I never left. My back's bothering me, so I'm stuck in the chair until after the show.
Got the eject button.
A few comments here.
Go ahead.
Go over. While we were out, Ron Meldrum said many people have difficulty with scientific analysis because it's often challenging to separate personal emotion from the content. And that is so true, Ron.
Right. Well, you know, if you like Bigfoot, a scientific examination, we discuss in scientific terms and with references of other sciences, what is possible, what is not possible, but we never dispute somebody's encounter.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about that. What it's about is, let's put this, and no matter how you tie this up, you know, people don't understand that by tying Bigfoot into not only us and our relatives, the apes, you know, because we're apes. You know, this guy, aper, how ignorant is that? Because we are part of the great apes. We're part of the great apes. I'm not saying that out of malice. I'm saying that just an ignorant comment. It doesn't mean it's a slander. It means it's an ignorant comment because a human is a great ape.
Well,
And what they don't realize is that their behavior, a Sasquatch's behavior, if it corresponds to the great apes, it kind of validates what's going on in the encounters.
Right.
And that's what they don't get.
Well, you might have missed that show, the one we did where the chimpanzees were tree knocking. Maybe.
Yes.
Go back. You're probably not still here, but go back and review the research that was shown on the chimpanzees in Africa.
And I'm not going to sit there and have the woo versus ape debate tonight. That's not that. This is not a time or place. No. Let's get on to the next slide and get rolling here. So, unfortunately, what you have here is that what we see here is some narcissistic traits, which is fine. Do we all have them? Yes, we all have narcissistic traits because it's about self-preservation, and we don't like to think of ourselves as a piece of garbage, so I get that. Demonstrates moral righteousness and a perceived superiority, understanding the truth, and he does that over the top. I've always said that, hey, I could be wrong, but he doesn't. People don't know what they are. I do. Okay. Anti-establishment attitude holds disdain for authority figures and critics, often rooted in a sense of personal injustice. He constantly says that the apers on the top, on the top level, are government agents. Well, I'd like to see their checks, right? And defensive aggression reacts aggressively when his identity or beliefs are challenged, often framing it as a defense. And I'm going to tell you right now, what he may say is, who the hell is this guy? What has he ever done? What does he know? Right? Well, I've had a couple of sightings. So I guess that makes me a knower, right, Steve? That's what you say. Just defending myself there ahead of time. Let's go on to the next slide here. Speed it up a little bit. So, future, what can we expect in the future? Intensified follower devotion. Now, obviously, Sheepdog is one of them, right? Because he is not questioning, or defending. He's just, just dismissing us outright. Off you go. That is cognitive dissonance 101 right there. Which I knew was going to happen tonight. At least one person would do that tonight. I almost counted on it. That's why they got booted. Likely to engage in public disputes with researchers. Oh boy, we're waiting for this one. And you know what? He can say what he wants. I've had my say. I'm done. I'm not going to slander him and say, he's this or that. He's doing what he does. He's entitled to his opinions. And that is the one thing that I've always said. People are entitled to their opinions, not facts. Not their own facts. So when you say something like, oh, Meldrum's on the payroll of the government because he says this and that about Bigfoot, or, Bobby Short gets assassinated because of the massacre at the Patterson-Gimlin site, those are not facts. I'm sorry, you're not entitled to those facts. That's right. That may be your opinion.
You got to bring out the 10
But don't be so aggressive on it, for Christ's sake. Escalated claims may increase the extremity of his statements to maintain attention and engagement from his audience. Okay, fair enough. Let's take a look at some other things. So, he has some cognitive biases and confirmation biases and cognitive dissonance himself. He consistently shares stories that align with his preconceived beliefs about Bigfoot, government conspiracies, and supernatural phenomena. Fact. He rarely questions the authenticity of submitted stories, even when they contain glaring inconsistencies or lack of any empirical support. Fact. But I will say that he does occasionally drop the thing that I haven't verified any of this. I'm just reading this as is. Fair enough. He emphasizes anecdotal evidence as an inherently valid, especially when it matches his personal narrative or the experience of his dedicated audience. Fact. He actively ignores or dismisses skeptical perspectives, often labeling skeptics as ignorant or closed-minded, or even government agents. Fact. I'm not closed-minded. I have come up with scientific explanations as to why certain things happen. So that's how closed-minded I am. This behavior is textbook example of confirmation bias, where he selectively accepts evidence that supports his existing beliefs by disregarding anything that contradicts them. His focus on stories that validate his own experience not only reinforces his beliefs, but also strengthens his emotional connection with his audience, many of whom can share similar convictions. Now, his own experiences, I'm not saying they didn't happen. I'm not saying he didn't experience what he experienced. There may be explanations for why he explained it. And unfortunately, if you're going to keep yourself in your own echo chamber, it's kind of hard to have that discussion with you and make you maybe rethink that perhaps there was a scientific reason why it turned into an orb, or you thought it mind spoke to you. There are scientific avenues for that to actually seem like they're occurring. Yeah. Right? By discrediting skeptics outright, he effectively shields himself from cognitive dissonance, the discomfort caused by holding contradictory beliefs being confronted with opposing evidence. And his reluctance to engage with alternative explanations, such as the natural animal behaviors or hoaxes, demonstrates an intellectual insularity where challenging information is filtered out. Again, what did we see by our one true believer in chat tonight? Right. He didn't ask any questions. He didn't engage in conversation. He made a few statements at first, and then all of a sudden he makes this comment, throwing a slander out at everybody in chat and at us, and said, "This is bullshit," and he leaves without saying, without having that conversation of saying, what's your issue here? What do you have issue with? Right? Doesn't even give us the chance. He just name calls, name drops, and out he goes. Okay, go back to your echo chamber. We don't need you here. Because our audience, and which we have the greatest audience in the world, is the best. And, they're calling out hoaxers now on Facebook even. We believe in, we believe multiple things. There are people in our audience that believe some of the paranormal aspects or supernatural aspects of Bigfoot, but we don't shun them. We don't tell them they're not welcome here. We don't tell them their ideas are not welcome or such. Right? We may have differing opinions. It doesn't matter. We're all for the same thing. Let's validate this animal. Here's some other things. The Dunning-Kruger effect. He's overestimating his knowledge and expertise. He frequently speaks with absolute certainty about complex topics such as genetics, because he's a Ketchum supporter. Cryptozoology, even governmental operations. He makes sweeping assertions about DNA manipulation and Bigfoot-related conspiracies despite lacking formal expertise in any of those fields. He positions himself as more credible voice than scientists, researchers, or skeptics, often without any evidence to support his claims. Right? He rarely acknowledges the gaps in understanding and preferring instead to speak authoritatively on speculative theories. The behavior aligns with the Dunning-Kruger effect, where individuals with limited expertise overestimate their competence. By overestimating his knowledge, Isdall conveys an impression of authority to his audience, which largely consists of non-experts who find his confidence reassuring. The absence of self-skepticism and the lack of engagement with experts indicate that he underestimates the complexity of the subject he discusses. And his echo chamber of supportive followers reinforces his confidence, creating a feedback loop where praise replaces critical reflection. Right? That's why when usually we have a mission, I try to get a debrief. Well, what did everybody see? What did we do? What's happening? Let's have everybody's input on this. Right? That's important. Right? And everybody's allowed to speak freely and give their due.
Yeah. Steve, you covered this earlier. The world is not black or white. There are gray areas, and when you view the tribal mentality there, where it's only black or white, and if you're not with us, then you're with the
them.
aliens. Okay, yeah, that's not the way it works.
Right.
There's a gray area there, and you've got to be willing and open to looking at that gray area, rather than saying, okay, no, the portals are the explanation without a doubt. And if you don't believe that way, then you're wrong. You're a government agent and you're on the payroll.
Yep. So here's some observations about cognitive dissonance. He often asserts that he does not care about public opinion or proving himself, yet he dedicates a substantial amount of time to justifying and criticizing skeptics. Well, why bother doing that if you don't care about public opinion? Because I'll tell you what, NBTV doesn't care, right? They put out all the BS videos. They don't care. They don't make respond to anything. The guy we talked to the other day, the guy who tried calling small town monsters, he tried once to defend himself, but now he has regressed to going back to publishing previous stuff that's already been debunked and not making any claims, just putting stuff there.
Right.
So, he emphasizes that his own experience was so profound that it rendered any disbelief irrelevant. Well, we're not disbelievers here, right? I would like to have a nice heart-to-heart conversation with him about his encounter and discuss the scientific possibilities of what may have occurred for him to have those experiences. I would love to do that, right?
And again, I want to bring this up and make sure that everybody understands where we're coming from here. This is not the I Hate Steve Isdall show.
Right.
This is a scientific analysis of Isdall's channel, How to Hunt. So there's nothing emotional. It's not personal.
No, in fact, it's imploring. I would love to, even if it's not on air, I'd love to have a conversation with him over the phone. Well, what did you see? What, because it's about a conversation. It's not about I'm right and you're wrong. And, it's not about that. Right. And then again, he shows almost a compulsive need to reinforce his stance, suggesting that despite his declarations, he is unsettled by the disconnect between his personal certainty and widespread skepticism. Get that. I understand that too. So what this pattern suggests is a deep-rooted cognitive dissonance where his personal conviction clashes with public doubt. And again, I don't doubt he had experiences. I'm not saying that. Not at all. Instead of addressing this discomfort, though, through rational debate or open dialogue, he doubles down in his stance, framing himself as the persecuted truth teller. His defense mechanism allows him to preserve his self-image as an enlightened outsider, while avoiding the uncomfortable process of maybe reevaluating his beliefs. And I've actually had a few people that have reevaluated their beliefs, that were going the woo route, and then they realized, oh, wow, you know what? You're right. Because you're talking to somebody here who has dealt with the paranormal side of things. And that this mystery is no way connected to the paranormal side of things. But there are some explanations that I can gladly discuss with people. The more his ideas are challenged, the more he entrenches himself as admitting any error would threaten his sense of identity and the community he has built. And when he has gathered all these people that believe in Ketchum, that believe in the supernatural Sasquatch. And what happens is if he changes his identity, he's afraid, maybe he's even afraid that, well, my channel's going to go to shit. There is some concern. There's always some concern. Like even Chris has some concern about, and maybe this is negative. No, we're having an open discussion. Unfortunately, we've invited him, but he didn't take up the invite. So we're having a discussion without him.
There is a big demand for the woo.
Right.
Okay.
You know what?
He's cashing in on that.
I think that if he dropped his baloney about all this conspiracy stuff and just put that aside,
Right.
and okay, I believe in the woo, but here's some alternative explanations, and offered the alternative explanations,
Right.
I think his channel would be great to go to because he does have a great online persona.
Yeah.
You know, he has this natural penchant for getting out there. I don't have a disagreement with that necessarily. It's not the person, it's just the way, you know, it's just some of the materials over the top. Now, finally, we got a couple of more slides. First is the echo chamber strategy, which we've talked about, and which our friend here, Sheepdog, kind of gave us a glaring example of what it's like to be in this echo chamber. He refuses to engage with skeptics or critical researchers, often stating he doesn't care what they think. He's been invited to discussions and debates, but consistently avoids participating, especially in environments where his beliefs might be challenged by evidence. He prefers a safe environment of his own platform where he can control the narrative and receive unconditional support. Comments on his videos are often curated, and his content structure discourages direct engagement with counterarguments. Now, yes, my comments here on this channel are curated because we don't deal with people, you know, if somebody has an argument or a valid question or a dispute or a debate, that's fine. We will post those, and we have in the past. But you start name calling or talking down or being cocky or calling names, boom, you're gone. You're not even worth it because there's no way we're going to have a discussion on this that's going to make any kind of sense, right?
Well, you know, it's hard to have a discussion with somebody types in "you suck." Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, or you know, you don't, and you know what we're gonna do is if I get any comments tonight off of this show like that, we will save them and have another show. We will have another show outlining those wonderful people and how.
Yeah, it's hard to have a discussion with stuff like that, you know. So don't be a troll, okay? Don't be a troll. If you got something to add it, please.
Pyromedic has a good comment. Let's put that up.
Paramedic says, how much does he pick and choose the stories he tells? These are stories people send in. If they have the woo in them, they can't all be explainable.
Right. Yeah, actually, they surprisingly they can. Put the comment back up, please. They actually can paramedic. They fall into like 4 or 5 different categories. One, there is some natural science explanation for it. And there are subcategories under that: infrasound, post-traumatic regression, post-traumatic stress, PTSD.
Yes.
There is also a paranormal factor. Maybe what you saw wasn't Bigfoot, but perhaps it was because you're looking for Bigfoot, it presented itself as such. And there is a paranormal aspect to a lot of places where people are having these experiences that have a very deep Native American spiritual connection that may have something on the paranormal realm. Okay, that is something that people, blows people's mind away. So if it can't be explained by the scientific reasons, perhaps it's explained by the paranormal side, right? And then finally, and that's where I lose Chris, but Chris has not had the experiences that I have had in the paranormal field.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right? And finally, we can't discount that there are a few kooks and nuts out there, right? And we can't deny that there are a few hoaxers out there as well.
Right.
So I believe that all of this can be explained by science, the paranormal, or by human manipulation. So let's put it those 3. So I think they're perfectly can be explained, right? So I'm good with that.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Steve, but you're just not going to make me believe that somebody says they saw Bigfoot disappear in a portal. I can't believe that you can't explain that and say, well, no, it could have been a ghost. No, I don't believe that.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not, again, Chris, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that some people see a Sasquatch that just, they disappear.
Right.
You know, or it looks half Sasquatch, half something else and stuff like that. And well, where were you? Oh, Jesus. You were right near an Indian burial ground.
Okay.
You know, or you have other issues at home, like for example, talk to some of the people who have woo. Well, have you ever seen a ghost? Oh, yeah, I got ghosts in my house. Okay. Now we're starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
Either they're, you know, and then we can start to narrow things. Right?
Yeah.
There's a number of things, and you got to really get into somebody's mind and to understand that. But I feel that there are explanations that can explain their economy. You never know.
Oh, man.
So, what an echo chamber does is it avoids it's a deliberate avoidance of intellectual conversation consistent with maintaining an echo chamber. By shielding themselves from critique, Isdall avoids emotional discomfort of reconciling his beliefs with contrary evidence. This self-imposed isolation protects him from protects his sense of authority and credibility within his community while avoiding potential humiliation or exposure. Well, it's not about humiliation; it's about the truth. So that's why it kind of gets to me is that, you know, he holds these the truth by how to hunt or the knowledge table and stuff like that, and there is no evidence put up on that table other than theories and what you guys feel you've experienced or anecdotal evidence or whatever, and you're throwing that up on the table, yet you turn around and say, well, I haven't vetted any of these. I just read them as they come in. Well, then you can't have knowledge and you can't have a truth unless you vet this information or this data for being authentic.
Yeah. If you're just reading off emails, man, it just becomes another Bigfoot story channel. And,
Right.
you know, don't get me wrong. There's thousands of people that
Right.
enjoy that type of stuff. But it's not Bigfoot research. That's a fictional Bigfoot story channel.
And the thing is people think, and they perceive these people that don't believe them as hostile when they're the hostile ones, right? Right?
We're on the.
I don't go to their channel and say this is BS. Maybe there are people that do, but that's not my tenor. That's not my tenor of things. I leave people in their own lanes a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh,
So
wait a minute. I want to get this one up. Sasquatch Wizard Adirondack says, I wonder if Isdall had gravitated towards Squatch-D TV and Friends instead of David P. from 411, Scott Carpenter and Friends. Would he have molded into a different character?
likely so.
I would say so.
Likely so. You know, you become who you pick as your mentors.
Well, you know, I don't know, because there's more money in the storytelling thing.
I don't think so at all with him. I don't think this is not a money thing.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think this is a money thing at all. I think that, yes, he likes causes. And he gets involved with all of that other crew that believes in all this other stuff. And they mold him. They essentially used him. I mean, when you think about it, that's, you know, that's what cults do. Right? You get somebody that's, oh, I want to learn about Bigfoot. Right? Because I had this encounter. Well, let us tell you about Bigfoot. Blah, 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 blah. And then they come out believing all this crap. So, yeah, you know, he you know, that's a great friggin' point. If he had went to somebody different, but you see, the people that have this cult-like attitude, they prey upon people, right? Whereas the people like us, behind science, we're trying to prove it to a different crowd.
But I wouldn't classify his followers as it being in a cult. It's not like, now, if you're talking about...
Whoa. Chris, we just saw a great example of that tonight,
well,
right?
that was an example of the tribalism, the tribal attitude and the black and white thing, and no room for gray area. But that's different.
People learn on this channel. You can argue with anything about about anything except music.
Yeah.
And that's a joke of how because I put a lot of hard work in this channel. People don't understand.
Everybody likes different things. It's not an insult.
No. But when somebody calls a song we're putting on as cringe, that's kind of
it's
hurtful.
rude.
But
rude.
He apologized, and apologies forgiven.
It's rude. Steve, I don't like your music. Well, thanks. Appreciate that.
Right.
But again, if I would have picked it, it would have been banjo music. So think about that.
And that's what happens with these groups is they get so tied up with channels that some of them, especially when you're espousing, think about what a cult is.
Oh, yeah.
Think about, and this is an inadvertent thing. I don't think they mean to create cult-like beliefs, but when you have somebody that's a spokesman for this type of behavior, and you get like-minded people, but all of a sudden that person talks out of turn, and you ban them and boot them from the community, right? And you're not allowed to have any opposing view. That in of itself is a cult. And what they do is, instead of isolating these people from their family, they're isolating them from the science and the truth,
right?
And the facts as they stand.
Sandwich Savant.
No. That was you didn't have to do that. But thank you. We're not worthy.
I was making fun of the AI again. I do.
No. You don't have to. I already said Sandwich Savant.
Oh, excuse me.
But I picked it. No, I'm just.
Thank you, Sandwich Savant. We're not.
Thank you,
worthy.
Sandwich.
Thank you.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's funny. No. It's water under the bridge, and I was just making a joke about that because that's the one thing that really fires me up lately. Is it's like, okay, I put country on there, they don't like it. I put rock on there, they don't like it. I put hip hop on there, they don't like it. I put pop in there, they don't like it. I'm like,
I've got a bluegrass song on the introduction video to my channel, and when my wife first heard it, she was like, "Why do you put this on here for? Nobody people like this." I like it. Dang it. Okay. What do you put this on here for? Nobody like this.
Right.
I like it. So that's one.
So here's what it is. And it comes down to audience manipulation sometimes. And it's kind of hard to look at that as technically something being intentional. Because everybody has a way of doing that. And maybe this is unintentional, but this is the way it's a manipulation. Framing yourself as the victim of ridicule, a tactic that elicits sympathy. Portrays himself as a fearless and principled, contrasting his own bravery with the cowardice of skeptics. The stories contain emotional hooks, emphasizing loss, fear, and resilience, which resonate to those who feel similarly marginalized. It's the us versus them mentality, believers versus skeptics. And we're not skeptics. That's the thing we're not even the skeptics. We're skeptical of some of the perceived behavior, but we're not skeptical that the creature exists. We should all be on the same, even though we have these petty differences, we should all be on the same page that we at least believe this thing exists. Right?
Yeah.
But instead it's this us versus them attitude, the apers. And we can thank Dr. Matt Johnson for that. We can thank Polites et al. For that. Ketchum, we can thank, and we can thank, Isdall for that too.
Well, when I was thinking cult, I was thinking automatically Matt Johnson. Okay, when you talk about Zorth and the Council of 12 and all that stuff,
that's just but that's just
the cult.
But so is this, and so is Ketchum. They're all people who are harboring people, right? Hold on.
You don't have to take medicine. Come on.
Yeah, but that's not the definition of a cult. Definition of a cult is control. They want to control these people's beliefs. And if they do not, or they question it, they get banned. That is a definition of a cult, right? There are a lot of cults that believe this and that and whatever, but if you question or ask, see you later, you must leave now. That's a cult, right? So, we all think of the extreme cults, Jim Jones. We think of, the Moonies. We think of, that group, the Rajneesh out there in Oregon. We all think of that because it's very extreme, because that's what gets the media attention. But there are very...
man. I would think it would be more like a bandwagon fallacy rather than a cult, because he's got like so many of the woo people joined together, and they're all supporting each other because they're all fellow supporters of woo. And then if somebody comes in there that says, "Wait a minute, guys, I'm not too sure about this woo," well, they all jump on this person. Oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so let's think about this. This is a detailed look at an aspect of a cult. And I'm not saying that this was intentionally done.
Right.
But this is what it turns out to be more often than not. Number one, you need a charismatic leader. Cults often revolve around a leader who is perceived as having special knowledge, wisdom, or authority. Check that one. Extreme devotion. Members display an intense and often unquestioning devotion to the leader of the group's ideology.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right? Isolation. Cults also often encourage members to withdraw from outside influences, including family and friends. But outside influences, check. Right? Manipulative tactics. They use psychological manipulation, fear, and pressure to control members. Haven't we seen that framed himself as a victim and elicits sympathy, portrays himself as fearless in principle? And stories contain emotional hooks, emphasizing loss, fear, and resilience.
Yeah.
Right? So check. Right? Rigid rules and doctrines. Cults often have strict rules and beliefs that members are expected to follow without question. Don't ask a question derogatory to the narrative. Don't question the narrative, where they get booted. Check.
But see, emotional manipulation could also...
Secrecy. Hold on. Secrecy. They may maintain secrecy about their practices and beliefs. How many times do we get any disclosure at all from Isdall about the emails or the people he is researching or reading their stories?
Douglas.
Right?
Remember.
And the only thing that doesn't really is financial exploitation. Although if you look on his How to Hunt page, the hunting one, he talks about all his food donations and whatever that he makes. Yeah. And that is admirable if he's actually doing that. That is very admirable.
Right.
Right? I got no issues with that. That's a good job. So I'm not saying this is intentional. Right? What Matt Johnson is doing is intentional. Yeah. Right? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when you have people, Todd Standing, people call his followers a cult like the Stanlings. But that's not intentional. This is the side effect of being a multimedia. And I'm sure people would say, hey, there's a cult, the Coles, too. That people, they come in and they believe all this science bullshit instead of the woo. And, No, I do not mind questions. I encourage them. So that's the big difference there. And I don't boot people for having opposing views, only when they're rude and they're disruptive and make derogatory and gaslight. Boom, gone.
You aper.
You aper. Which that guy obviously knew that coming here tonight.
Well, some of this is probably, though, is going to be, the tendencies to display of narcissism by narcissists, the controlled, the manipulation of emotional, using that to manipulate people's emotional states. That could just be because he's doing some narcissist things, okay? Or he may be a narcissist. And not necessarily he's intending to be a cult leader.
Right. I mean, it happens. It's not nothing intentional.
Right.
Where the intentional part is when you start questioning the narrative, you get expelled.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the problem.
Right. And we find that, but we find that very common with people who have very weak arguments. So are we predisposed as Homo sapiens to creating cults? Right? Are we predisposed to creating this? Oh, gee.
The cult is growing, Steve. Okay. Oh, Brian.
I remember everybody at 4:15 this morning has to wake up and look towards the west and then wave. And if anybody does that, I will knock them in the head.
Oh, God. No, we got to kowtow 3 times towards New York.
Right.
Oh, no.
So let me summarize, Chris.
Yeah.
Believe what you want about Steve Isdall. I have nothing necessarily against him, but when his minions travel outward and spread disinformation, that becomes a bit challenging. The more disinformation that comes out there becomes challenging. The increase of people believing that there is a government conspiracy against the Sasquatch is getting out of control. Right? But I will say this, that when I got my FOIL request back from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and they told me they have not received a Bigfoot report since 2017, it lends me the credence that perhaps there may be a conspiracy. But what drives that conspiracy, who drives that conspiracy, or if there's even really an organized conspiracy at all, is beyond me, because
I think
people...
there's a good chance there was just a lazy government worker got a hold of that request.
Very true.
Bigfoot reports. I ain't doing this. We don't have any. You know.
So the tendency for people to act. Jeez.
The Aper cult.
Just spell it with one L. My name originally only had one L.
Okay.
That's true. And Timberline Camp makes a great thing. Governments are too dumb to organize a free lunch. Very true.
Exactly.
What I think really is that they've received reports, they just don't write them up. And it's probably Occam's razor. That's probably the most simplest explanation. How am I going to write up a Bigfoot report? All right, thanks for telling me. Right?
Yeah.
And I have a little inside knowledge on that too.
Squatch and Holler said, fresh out of the Bigfoot forums. Yeah. Oh, man. You guys. I would think rather than, thinking this is big government conspiracy trying to cover everything up, I would probably think that a request, a response to a FOIL request by saying, well, we haven't had any reports, which and I know is bull, okay, would be more likely just somebody didn't want to do their damn job. And that makes me angry. But what are you going to do? Okay.
And that's Occam's razor. They probably don't even file a report on it. They probably just take the call. Okay, took a call about a Bigfoot. And
Curious Cryptid Steve. How you doing, Steve?
I agree.
Yes. Timberline Camp said the chat is lit tonight. You guys have been killing me. I can't put up half of the stuff you guys are talking about over there, but I appreciate it. And I am enjoying it.
So in reality, like I said, I think Steve has a very interesting channel to watch. I get a little turned off when he goes on his political tirades, when it comes to government conspiracy and all that and stuff like that. But, listening to the reports, it's rather interesting.
Sandwich Savant's got a good comment. I'm going to get this up here. Sandwich Savant says, I think there is a conspiracy at Salt Fork to keep Squatches a secret to protect it. I think that does happen. The head naturalist there said if he saw one, he'd never tell. That's probably true, that part.
But here's the thing. Is it a conspiracy, really?
No.
Because a conspiracy is a group of people agreeing to do a certain thing. Right. One guy saying, well, if I saw one, I'd never tell. That's his prerogative. That's not a conspiracy. Not one person, even though he's a government official, may not tell. And why wouldn't he tell? Because he may get mocked by his peers.
Right.
So you don't even know the reasoning behind it. Right? It's like the UAP phenomenon. Now, even pilots, even to this day, are kind of reluctant to report it. And some report it anonymously because they're afraid they will get grounded. Yeah. Right? So it's not necessarily a conspiracy in that respect. It's how he received the information or how some, the uppity ups received the information. And we have seen, I am a historian of different battles of World War II, World War I, the Civil War, the Red War. And there were reports of this and that didn't get passed off to the uppity ups because they were afraid of retribution or they would not be believed. And even though they were true, it happens. And that is not a conspiracy. That is just human nature. It's human nature to follow a cult. Why is that? Because everybody wants to feel like they belong a lot of times. Right? And what we have is people like Isdall, people like Ketchum, that believe in something else. And because they're outspoken about it, they end up getting people that want to belong to something psychologically. They might not even cognitively realize this, but they want to belong to something so bad that they join this. That's how people join cults. Same reason here, folks. I don't want people to join here because of me personally. I get it. Chris and we have our own personalities, and I love, some people say, oh, we love you guys, and, I get that, and that's why you hang out. And that's okay, too, because you're coming for us and our personalities. But we don't put any demands on our people to believe anything certain. We have a certain way of believing things. Gary is here, and Gary doesn't believe half the stuff we say. But we try to help, Gary understand our belief a little bit better and how it relates to his beliefs. And everybody's entitled to their beliefs. They're just not entitled to their facts. And that's the bottom line on it.
And Mick says, Steve, did you know that Blog Talk Radio is defunct as of January 2025? Hope you got all your shows saved.
Got my shoes saved.
Well, I'm assuming he meant shows.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't say my shoes. I have saved a bunch of shows that, that is, I didn't even realize that is Blog Talk defunct. So let's go off top.
I had seen that. I had been on their website probably about a month ago, maybe a couple of months ago now, and I was trying to listen to some of the old shows, and they were gone.
They are. blogtalkradio.com. Their domain is available.
Yeah. Wow. Well, before you could go to the website would show up, but when you try to click on a show,
wow.
there's nothing there.
Wow, BTR is done.
Wow.
What a surprise.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
You type in blogtalkradio.com, it goes back to a GoDaddy domain.
Oh, no.
Yep. You can buy it.
Nah, no, thanks.
Wow.
How much is it? I don't know. We might buy it.
$20 minimum order, $20 minimum bid.
Yeah, I'd pay $20 for it.
Wow.
Grant's waiting for the Steve's 10 apricot commandments.
Oh God, Larry's apricot.
Apricot. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't think that you could classify Isdall people as a cult. Okay, but I think he is doing some cult-like things, that are kind of like, oh, that's kind of culty.
Well, I don't think it's intentional, though.
Exactly. That's it.
Nothing there is intentional. I have no malice towards Steve Isdall. I want to make that clear at the end of the show. I have no malice towards him.
Right.
I don't want to take him down.
Yeah.
I just wanted to cover, people, what I felt, and, you should do an expose, and people have asked me for this for a couple of years now, and I've been, I tried to put it out there. Like, I'd rather have a conversation with the guy, but if he ignores my messages on Facebook, but if he is out there listening to this, I would love to have him and talk about things and have a great discussion, because that's what I'm about. I'm about, let's put a beer on our desk, our respective desks. Let's talk about this, because I feel, and have a good conversation, have a decent conversation about it. And let's put all the bad stuff aside. Let's not name call. Let's talk. Well, why do you feel that, Meldrum is a government agent? Or why do you feel that, why don't you think they are not, part of us? Because obviously if they're not a great ape, they're not a Homo sapien either, because Homo sapiens are great apes. And that's, that's what gets me, like, blows my head up.
We've had long, drawn-out conversations with Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and he has never said anything that would give me the opinion that he was a government agent.
Right.
There's just nothing.
Why would a government agent be a believer?
That's strange. Yeah.
And that's a contradiction. But when you're set in that mindset, that's what happens, Chris, is that you filter out any logic or anything that goes against your own thing. And that's why I love to have a conversation with him and point that out to him, that, hey, if he was truly a government agent, he'd be saying Bigfoot doesn't exist. He'd be conducting ops. And that's not the way, especially the U.S. government does not operate by denying stuff or even agreeing to stuff. What they do is they create false flags to make it look like a big hoax.
Yes.
Now,
you didn't actually see a Bigfoot. What you saw was swamp gas refracted through the light of Venus.
You know what I would say is maybe the guy from Menlo Park is the actual government agent, because he supports these huge hoaxes. And he gets himself on national media, and it turns out to be a bust. That would be more of the government agent type there.
Right.
All right. I'm not saying he is, because I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this little story. I once was in a vehicle with him when I was undercover, and I was supposed to be speaking at the Honubby Bigfoot conference, Bigfoot festival, whatever. Right. When it was run by some people that I ended up not going. I ended up backing out, but they had wrote that I was a former FBI agent. I'm like, where the hell did they get that from? And when I heard that kind of turned me off, and that's why I kind of backed out. But at the same time, while I'm in that vehicle, Biscardi read it. He looked really put on. I started laughing. I go, well, they got that wrong. And Biscardi got really quiet.
Oh, yeah. You know why?
And then he looked at me.
Oh, my God. He's found out.
He looked at me and said, Steve, do you work for the government? Seriously?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I'm like, what the hell? No. You know what I should have did? Yes, drop me off at the nearest FBI field office and got on to Dodge. That's what I should
Are
do.
you investigating those museums or what? Oh, this is terrible.
Now, here's a funny thing. 11 years later, I work for a investigation firm that subcontracted to the federal government that put me in places undercover
Right.
for food stamp fraud.
Yeah.
And I had a whole character. I had a nom de guerre. I would change my appearance. I would go and try to do these buys. And then report back on the federal government system. I had a government ID badge, contractor badge. Yeah, and I did that for a couple of years.
The Food Bureau of Investigation, maybe. Food Bureau.
Yeah, the Food Bureau of Investigation. But yeah.
Mick says, Steve, did Carmine ever open his museum?
No.
No. None of them. None. No.
That's why I sent people out. Let's see if we can find something that we can stick in a museum and make it like. That's why I like the Hand of Unknown Origin. It was a friggin' bear paw.
Yeah. Very true, Steve. Steve says the woo is combining toys, Bigfoot, and spiritualism.
Yes. Well. Yeah. Well, I would say more like anthropomorphism. They want to make them more like us, and romanticism, they want to make them a nice celestial being and very peaceful, and they're part of your friend. Or actually, I don't know if Isdall actually claimed for a while that they were demonic. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said, you're entitled to believe what you want. And I'm not discouraging anybody from visiting a channel. Go ahead and check it out. Check it out and have some laughs if you don't believe it. But don't post anything over there in derogatory. That's not cool. Going to that's like going into somebody's house and starting shite. And that's why I don't allow that on our network either. I don't want people randomly coming in saying nasty, sending nasty grams, because it just ain't right. That's coming into my home and trying to disrupt that. Same thing with going over into somebody else's and trying to disrupt their thing. I'd rather say, well, look what this channel's doing. They're promoting a hoax, or they're promoting, or they're Anyway.
Well, again, I used to watch his channel and follow along with some of the videos he did. But when he lost me, when he went on and started reading the emails, and that's when I checked out. And a lot of people enjoy that type of thing. And don't get me wrong, I have listened to the Bigfoot story channels on YouTube, and that's fine too. But to me, that's just a fictional story, and the type subject is Bigfoot. Just like I like to watch a good scary Bigfoot movie every now and then. And sometimes we watch one here on Wednesday nights.
So we just ended the poll. And yes, is Bigfoot, is Steve Isdall a reliable source of Bigfoot information? 67% said no, 32% said yes, and we had 86 votes.
Well,
so
that's great.
Well, thanks everybody for participating, no matter where you stood on the fence there, and we appreciate y'all coming in and enjoying the show, and we hope we've brought some insight. And we've also hoped that we've clearly stated this wasn't an attack piece.
No.
And like I said, I would still openly invite Steve Isdall to come on the show, explain what he feels, and let him have the dais for a little while and have a discussion. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing argumentative about that. Nothing, angry about it at all. But I got a little pissed off at Sheepdog, because you just don't do that. You're coming in here and calling names and then leaving without engaging in any discussion. Now, how idiotic is that? And I bet you if I talked to Steve Isdall himself would probably say, well, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, Chris, take us out of here. Let's go home, and we'll be back here on Wednesday night.
thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you. I know I saw a lot of new names in there. If you hadn't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Smash the thumbs up button on the way out if you hadn't already. We appreciate you guys. We know we've got the greatest audience in the world that we could ever hope to have. And thank you so much. You guys make the show what it is. We really appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with us on Sunday nights and Wednesdays and Fridays sometimes too. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys.
And folks, on behalf of me and everybody here at Squatch-D TV, we want to wish everybody a happy and safe week. All right, we'll see you all on Hump Day, I suppose. So until then,
kowtow towards New York.
And until then, everybody stay safe, keep healthy, God bless, and of course, keep on.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.